and welcome to this episode of Authentic Achievements, where it's my absolute delight to be joined by the fabulous Andrea Demichelis. He's a social entrepreneur whose passion in life is to give millions of people access to safe water. He's doing that through founding an organisation called Elliot For Water, an ethical search engine that uses 60% of profit to finance clean water products. And his goal is to positively, easy for me to say, positively impact the lives of as many people as possible while showing how anyone can make the world a better place with just one simple action at a time. Amazing. Andrea, I know we met for the first time last week properly, and I was just blown away by your story and what you're looking to achieve. So thank you for joining me and sharing your story again for us.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's all my pleasure.
Oh, bless you. So you have had such an exciting journey, and I love when you took me through it briefly last week. Would you mind sharing it again so that the people listening can also get the benefit of your insights?
Yeah, sure. The whole thing that we did last week?
Well, just a bit about your journey. So just so that people can understand kind of what made you come up with this? When did you find your passion? And how are you now taking that forward?
Okay, so my journey started in a totally different world. Initially, what I wanted to do was to become a stockbroker and then basically make as much money as I possibly could and retire to private life by 40 years old, live in an island somewhere around the world. And through the beginning of this journey, I decided to move to Paris to actually study to become a stockbroker and start this new path. But little by little, I realized that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And what I really wanted to do was to create something on my own. And now I'm making the story a little bit shorter. But once I decided to follow my instinct, not my instinct even, it was really the universe telling me, this is your route. I could have not missed the sign. So I decided to put faith in that and just drop everything else and try to create something on my own. But again, create something on my own just for the sake of making money didn't make sense anymore to me. I understood that what I really wanted to do was to create something that could just make me successful and make me rich on the economic side, but I also wanted it to have an impact in the world. I want this company, whatever it is that I would have done, I envision it like a company that 100 years from now, when I won't be there anymore, the company will still be there, having an impact in the world and or helping other people out. So I really wanted to create something that could do both at the same time. And because again, just getting rich for the sake of doing it, it didn't make much sense to me at all anymore. Helping alone, you can't do that either, because you can only be helped so much if you're not able to sustain yourself. So I decided to put all the things together, and I created Elliot For Water. And the reason why I decided to go for water is because water is realistically the single most impactful element that we have in the world. Without that, pretty simple, there's no life. And on top of that, when we go into the actual villages or into the real life, what happens is that when you give a village access to water, then not only kids and women, they save all the time that they are now spending to go collect water, which means that women can go to work or take care of the families, and kids can go to school and have an education. But at the same time, they can use water to create agriculture, to plant, to raise, to grow food. An example is the project that we did in Guinea-Bissau with a charity called Operation Well Found. And what this charity did with the villages was extremely smart. First of all, they work with the people to create the park. They don't just go there, dig a well, and they leave. It's a long-lasting project of education, of collaboration with them. And together with them, after the well was built, they basically connected all parts of the village to water, and they had them create a market garden.
Yeah.
They taught them how to use the water in a way that could grow the food over there. So now this village is growing its own food, and whatever it is that they're not consuming, they are selling it to other villages, which means that they are making money. And now the money is used to buy new clothes, to pay the fees for the school for the kids. And basically from one simple thing, it created this compounding effect, this ripple effect that is helping everyone, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger because it never stops. Once you get the ball rolling, then it's all benefits and it's all going forward alone.
I love that, because you're not just giving them water, which is vital in of itself. So I mean, even if you were just doing that, that's vital. But the fact that you are also providing them with the education and the resources and the knowledge to be able to take that and turn it into something that gives them a sustainable economy that allows them to kind of create a new life for themselves is what I found like the most inspiring when we were chatting last week, because very often it stops that we've put the water in, doesn't it? Which is still vital and still, needs to be done. I'm not belittling that in any way, shape, or form. But I think the fact that you've kind of had the forethought to think beyond that and go, okay, but so now we've met the basic need. Then what do they need? What to thrive and not just to survive? So making that change.
Just to add one quick thing, because it's there. A lot of this is also thanks to the charity who has worked with us. We found because they are on the ground and they had 10 years of experience. Then we just combined because we wanted to do the same type of projects, but they are actually there now at the moment doing these things. So it's fair to mention again.
Amazing though that you're doing it in collaboration, because for those charities that they rely on collaboration to enable them to meet more people. And you said it before, if you haven't got enough money to sustain yourself, you can't help that many more people because you need the help yourself. The same is so true for charities, isn't it? If they can't find ways to collaborate with people or to find different ways to innovate or to find more money, they are restricted in the impact that they can have in the world. So I think that it's so crucial that we find those. So in your journey, as you've already shared, you had an initial path.
Yeah.
So you knew what you wanted to be, and you got that in your head. How difficult was it to take the leap of faith and trust your instincts that you should change direction?
You want the real story?
Yeah.
Yeah. The real story was that during the period where I was trying to understand which direction I should have taken, it was the same period where my mother started teaching about how the universe works and all this kind of stuff. And she gave me this book. She gave me The Alchemist, which is basically the primary school for anyone trying to do this type of journey. But that's where you start. You start with The Alchemist.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the book, they show how whoever wants to go and follow their journey, usually at the beginning they are helped, and there are signs that you can see, especially if you ask of which direction to take. And I really didn't know what to do. When I was doing finance classes, I was getting into like Gordon Gekko mode, completely Wall Street thing, and then I was changing classes and I was again switching my mind. So I said, you know what, let's give this a try. And I took myself out of the equation and I just asked in general, said, show me what I have to do and I'll just follow through. The same morning I would go to school, and there was a class called about leadership, if I'm not wrong, and the teacher started talking about this study that went out that was showing how different people, based on their biology and the way they think, or like even physical stuff, they tend to go, they are more how do you say it, they will perform better in certain aspects of life, for example. And at some point, he started talking about the people like me. It was completely out of nowhere. He was saying about people with low blood pressure, and for whatever reason, that period, the doctor told me that I had low blood pressure. So I started paying attention, and he made a description of the character of this type of people. It was like point by point, it was how I am.
Yeah.
It was written in red in the blackboard, and then it says these people are perfect to start new companies, being entrepreneurs. I said, the moment I asked, they wrote me the answer with a red pen on the blackboard. So it can't be more direct than this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now I see it, and that's when I completely gave up the Gordon Gekko thing, and decided to move into the.
I love that. I love that because I think, I was talking to somebody just yesterday and saying, like, that if I've learned anything in life, it's that it only makes sense in the rear view mirror. At the time when you're going through it, you're like, I wonder why that's happening or why this is happening, and you've just got to trust the process and accept that the timing isn't yours. Much as we'd love it to be ours, the timing isn't ours. We've just got to trust the process and keep going. But that takes such a leap of faith to do that. Were there moments of doubt?
Oh, well, okay. Not moments of doubt, because as you just said, it always makes sense when you look backwards. And this is something that I always do every time I have some fears or some doubts. I look back and everything, even the things that seems to be going wrong in the past, they just match perfectly, because then I can see that this led to something else, which led to something else. I don't believe in coincidences anymore, and it's just so perfectly matched that it's impossible that it wasn't supposed to be this way, that it wasn't the thing that I was supposed to do. But then, even though I don't have doubts on what I have to do, it doesn't mean that it's not scary from time to time. It doesn't mean that not, because I'm betting everything that I have, all my life, my future, all the choices that I made until now, I made them with the goal of making this something. So I worked in bars, I did barman, I did all the things that I had technically nothing to do with, because I decided that this is what I wanted to do. So taking the classical path would have taken away some of the energy that I could have put in my company. And obviously sometimes it's scary, because what if it doesn't work? Well, yeah, but what if it does? And even if it doesn't work, the journey that you go through, the things that you learn, the way you grow as a person, it's still worth it anyways. And at some point, it doesn't even matter if you make it or not make it. The important is how you go through it and the journey that you go on. And obviously, when you start, you have to accept that you may or may not succeed, but it's the way you approach it that matters, and the way you live the whole life that is what's important, I believe. So yes, it's scary, yes it is, but screw it, that's what we do. So
we do it. I love that, because I can't remember whose quote it is, but it's always struck a chord with me, which is, it's not the destination that's important, it's the journey, because it's the journey that is where you get the growth. And I think, and if life's taught me anything, it's that everything in it is either a lesson, a blessing, or both. So when I'm in those moments where I don't feel blessed, I look for the lesson, because that's where the blessing usually is.
Yeah.
You learn something, you gain a new skill, or you gain a way not to do something, all of which gets you closer to what it is you want to do.
You need at that moment. Sometimes you need things that you don't even know, but someone or something knows that you need them. So that's why you go through certain things, so that you can learn and you can go to the next step. And as long as you don't learn, it's gonna keep on coming back and coming back and coming back.
Yeah, and I've definitely learned that one. It's like, Kim, you're not learning the lesson, so it keeps coming back. Come on, I'll give it you again. It's like, no, make it stop now. I've learned. But you do have to. I think you have to go through the pain to grow through it. So you can't just leave it to one side. You've actually got to look at it and go, why? What am I being taught here? What am I supposed to learn? What's my takeaway? Because if I don't get the takeaway, it will come back and give it to me again. Because as my nan said, what's meant for you doesn't pass you by, and that goes for lessons as much as blessings.
Exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned it, because I was thinking about it a few weeks ago. Actually, I was thinking about it all the time this past few months. The things, for as funny as it sounds, the things that I'm most grateful of are those periods where have been the hardest and the most difficult ones. And when we were there, it's like super obviously sad, and then it's difficult and all that. But now, seeing who I am trying to become, and who I'm becoming little by little, how I'm evolving, I could have never done it without those. So, sometimes I even ask, okay, give me some more, because I need to step up again. So
no, it's so true, isn't it? Because you Yeah, I often think when times have been tough, I've had a friend of mine who said to us, I can't decide if you're incredibly strong or incredibly stupid. And I was like, probably both. Yeah, in equal measures, I'm probably in there. I said, but I guess whenever anything's got too tough for me, I've looked at what's the one thing I can do, and I've clung to that like the life raft in the messy sea of my brain till the next thing comes along that I can understand. And just doing a something, no matter how small it is, allows you to kind of get through to get to the learning, doesn't it? But you've got to keep doing that. You put that one foot or one toe, keep going, because you never know where that's going to take you. So you've already done so much and had so many interesting things that have happened. What would you say is the thing that you're proudest of so far?
Yeah, I'm gonna repeat myself, but I believe that is the journey it's on, and how I see things right now compared to how I was seeing things before. Like, for example, before I was always more into the maybe blaming something else, or it's this fault or that fault. Now I see everything. I see the external world as a reflection of the internal one. So everything that happens, it's simply a reflection of what I have inside. So I decide how I react to things. And even if someone bumps into me in the street, the first thing that now we think is, okay, why that person bumped into me? But not like why someone like what was I thinking when it bumped into me? What was I present? Was I thinking something else? Was I thinking, worrying about the future, or was it some? So now everything is a training. Everything is a workout, because whatever happens is, okay, why, or what was I doing, or what was I thinking, and helps me to go back to the present thing, to the present moment. And then obviously is the fact that we have been able to do our first water project in Guinea-Bissau, that it's helping a few hundred people there, and changing the life with the thing. So if anything, even if this is something that I've been thinking as well, like if worst thing worse, and this thing doesn't work and I'm not successful and whatever it is, I grew in ways that I could have not done if I didn't decide to take this journey. And this is something that you can never replace, and you can always reuse in new things. And around 500 people, they got their life changed forever. And that's not something that you can put a price on. And if the price was 4 or 5 years of not making $100,000 per year, but be it, and it's not going to be that much anyways. But
yeah,
so be it.
In the greater scheme. And yeah, I love that, because I think yeah, I think, was it Thomas Edison who said, I didn't find one way to make the light bulb, I found 10,000 ways not to make the light bulb. So you kind of got to keep going, because in each iteration it gets better. You learn something, you work out, okay, not to do that again, maybe to do something a little bit different. So what's your next big thing for Elliot For Water?
The next big thing, the main big thing is, so as I said, I really want as first goal to give water to 1 million people. That's what I want to reach as a real first goal. That obviously we need to like settle down and start from 10,000 and blah 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 blah. That's the main thing initially. Then when we go there, we see where we are, we adjust, we grow to 5, 10, 100. The end goal is to help as much as we possibly can. But the very first one is 1 million people. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Because what a great thing to be able to track and achieve as well, thinking about the impact that you will have had on those people, because it isn't, as you say, just the water. So what do you think is going to be the thing that you take away from what you've gone through so far? So the greatest lesson that you've learned so far that you're now putting into practice?
Oh, that's that's a good question. Well, I think it's surely the fact that you are in control, and you're either creating what it's happening to you, or what it's happening to you, it's happening for you, and that changes everything. And yeah, it puts you completely in a different position. At the end, the way you perceive the world is the way the world is. The world doesn't exist. It's just the way we live with it. We can see both. We can see one horse. For me, would mean my childhood and my love and whatever it is. And for you, it's just also, it depends on how you go through things. And that changes completely the life. Even if it doesn't change up from the outside, it changes from the inside. And I'm going to quote Harry Potter now.
Uh-huh.
From the book, from the 5th or 6th books that I remember, when Harry Potter and Dumbledore, they were talking, and they were basically, it's when Harry Potter finds out that he needs to go and fight with the villain Voldemort. He felt like he had to go, so he had no choice. But then there's something in the conversation, he realized that he actually had the choice and he wanted to do it, and that made the whole difference, because the quote that they says is that it's the difference between being dragged into the arena to fight for a death match and going into the arena walking tall. It doesn't seem much, but it makes the whole difference in the world. And that's completely true. The way you go through things, the way you decide to live, that's what is going to make the difference, for regardless of what happens in life.
I love that. It is so true, isn't it? Our perception is our reality. And that's why, if you asked two people to describe the same room, they'll describe it slightly differently, because we filter out the stuff that's not of interest to us. So even though it's there, neither one of you is lying. You just don't see it. It doesn't come to your forefront because it's not interesting or important. And that's why I love as well that you're kind of living your life with a curious mind, because by nature, we are quick to move to judgment. And that's because our brains were designed clearly back when we were cave people, and we needed to make judgments pretty quick to work out if we were going to be eaten or not. So our brains still go there. And I try and do something similar, which is in every moment try and be curious. Why do I think that? Why do they think that? Why do I think the other? Just so it kind of opens up your thinking to be really present to what's going on. Because I think often we all run away with ourselves, don't we? And when we think we're being present and actually we're not, we've either gone back to our past and we're hankering on to something that hurt us, or we're fearful of something that, or hopefully
things out that never exist and never will exist. And
yeah, and you kind of like, actually, the only point that we've got is right now, because the past no longer needs us and the present isn't promised. The future isn't promised. The present. So you've kind of got to stay in it, and it's easy to say and hard to do often.
It's okay for whoever is listening and watching now. I make it sound as easy as eating the bread. It's not easy. I'm just talking about the concepts here. From putting actually on the everyday is two different things. But you have to try it, and you have to start it and to do it. And if I can add one thing to what you just said, which is probably where it's helping me the most, and when it can be the most helpful, the asking why thing is ask why when you are getting angry. When you are getting angry, when you are getting frustrated on something, ask yourself why then. That can give you a lot of answers that you didn't know before.
I love that. It's so true. I'm trying that at the moment with my little girl. So she sometimes struggles with some anxiety, and I got this book. It's brilliant. I use it on myself a lot as well. It's called The Whole Brain Child, and it's talking about the fact that when inadvertently, what we do is we inadvertently harm our children when we're trying to be helpful. So the minute that they're having a nightmare, the first thing you do is go, "Oh no, love, you're okay. There's no monsters under the bed. It's okay." And you do it from a position of love because you care about them and you don't want them to be scared. But I didn't realize inadvertently what you're doing is teaching them to ignore their emotion, because you've dismissed their emotion. You haven't heard them. So actually what you're supposed to do is go, "Well, that must be really scary. Tell me how you feel. Okay, why don't we look together under the bed and just make sure there's nothing there?" So we'll make sure there's nothing there. There is nothing there, but it must have been scary. But are you comfortable now that there isn't anything? Because then what you're doing is validating their emotion and solving the problem for them. And I was like, makes total sense, because we didn't we don't do that. I wasn't doing it. I was going to Scott, no, it's okay. Mum, he'll give you a cuddle. It's all good. But it makes such a sense. But actually what we're doing is teaching them that their emotions probably aren't to be trusted. And actually what we want to do is stay connected to them, because children, when they're really young, they do say what they see. I mean, sometimes in the worst way possible, where you're like, please don't say that now. I'll talk to you outside about it. But we teach them to change the way that they operate. And then we spend all of our lives trying to unlearn that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that we can learn to go back the other way. And it just struck me in what you were saying. It's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? You're having to be very conscious about making those choices and being kind to yourself when you get it wrong and you have wandered off into the future and you're like, it's okay. You know, I'm a human being. I'm going to do that occasionally, but at least I'm doing it consciously. I've recognized it, and then I can get myself back on track.
I think the word that you just said is one of the key words, like consciously doing. As long as you're conscious of what you decide, then you can do whatever you want. Because otherwise, you are just a slave of your own mind, which is just a tool. It's not. We are not our mind. Our mind is, as you said before, is designed to just think. We are not, and every single thought that we have doesn't say anything more than us than the way my tear grow on my face. So the moment that you choose consciously, then again you go back to being in control, because whatever happens, you decided that you wanted to do this, and you can take. You're going to accept the reward and the price, because every action has a reward and has a price. And once we are doing it consciously, then we accept both, and we are free. We are free to do whatever we want. If there's not something that we don't want to do, and we know that it's going to cost us a job or whatever it is, or even just a friend, or I don't know what, we chose to do it, and we are ready to pay for the price, because we did it consciously. And because we knew that on the other side there was a reward that for us was better than the other. Whereas when we just do it like this, we go through life without even knowing what we're doing, then any decision, it just puts you in this strange position of...
Well, you end up feeling like a victim to life, don't you? I saw somebody just yesterday, actually. I said, I live my entire life with asking myself the question, what's the worst that can happen, and can I live with it? And if the answer is yes, it's worth the risk. I said, because you've worked through what's the worst that could happen. Like, and what I explained to him is, I remember the first time I had to sack somebody, and I went through in my head, what's going to happen? Well, they could kill me, but I don't think they're going to do that. It's not that good a job. It's going to offend them that much. They might punch me in the face. Well, that would be painful and it'd be a bit embarrassing, but I'd live. And then, on the other side, was it the right thing to do? Yes. Did the person, had what they'd done created greater risk for everybody else in the business? Yes, it had. So it was the right thing to do, and I could live with the consequence of if it went horribly wrong. And I guess in that moment, it's just my way of helping me manage that piece that's going, you made the choice. And I made lots of really bad choices over the years, but I made them. And I will acknowledge those and say, I made a bad choice. I made a bad choice that was the best choice I could make from what I could see at the time. But hindsight's a beautiful thing. We'll have 20/20 vision with it. And I hadn't foreseen that this would happen. And for that, I will acknowledge it. I will apologize for it. I'll own it and I'll fix it. Because I think that's all we can do, isn't it? Is to kind of keep iterating and keep moving forward.
Yeah, 100%.
I love it. I could literally talk to you, but I'm conscious we're getting to time. So how can, obviously we'll have all of your details in the show notes, but how can people get in touch and get involved with what you're doing?
Well, on Instagram and Twitter, it's Andrea _ E4W with the 4 as a number. And then obviously go on elliottforwater.com, sign up to the newsletter, use the search engine. And now we are rebuilding it a little bit, so sign up to the newsletter and we'll get back to you as soon as we are building the 2.0 version that is going to be even better. But you'll see it in a short time, and just stay in touch. Follow Elliot For Water on the social medias. share the word, share this amazing podcast, please.
I know, absolutely. I have loved every minute of it. We will make sure, obviously, in the notes below, that we've got all of the details for you to be able to connect with Andrea. I'm looking forward to staying connected as well and having our next conversation. But if I could ask you to leave us with one last piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, one advice. I don't know if I'm the best person to give advice, but probably again the same thing that we were saying before. Take control of your life in the sense of no. This sounds like a phrase in a chocolate bar. Don't take control of your life. Take control of your mind. Whatever is inside is outside. Start going inside instead of going outside. The moment you start going inside is where the outside will change. Start from there, and then things will change.
Amazing. I love that. Andrea, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to next time. Until then, take care.
Thank you very much.